Hello and welcome to Dice Masters United. I'm Spug.
I'm Ben.
I'm James.
And I'm Peter.
Coming up in this episode.
In the light of the new Wincon that's coming to Dice Masters in the Secret Wars expansion, we'll be dreaming up a few more possible Wincons of our own.
We'll be feeding back on the performance of the teams we live drafted in the previous episode. Did Peter's Bizarro crush all and sundry?
And James's bird obsession hits a new low with the quiz he's come up with that somehow links to Dice Masters.
All that and more in the latest episode of Dice Masters United.
Yes, welcome back everybody. It's good to have you with us on this fine evening. Now, apologies if this episode might come to you slightly late, thanks to, well, diary clashes. I think our people have not been talking to each other's people very well over the last couple of weeks, so we've had to record this really at the very last minute before it's due to go out on Monday. So if all our people don't get things together in time to get it out at the normal time, then do apologise. But it's good to be back with you again. And we are tonight going to start by talking Wincons, because while we were away, a new Wincon has been spoiled. You may well have seen it. And it's going to be coming out in the Secret Wars expansion that's due out. Is it still due out at the end of the year? Who knows?
I think so. Last we've heard.
Optimistically, we're hoping that it will be out by the end of the year with the snazzy newly designed cards and the overhaul of all that that's going to be coming on. So that's very exciting. But the thing that you might have seen is that there is a new Wincon. Peter, do you want to tell us all about it?
Yeah, it's going to be the super rare Black Panther.
Yeah.
And he's a Fantastic Four affiliated character, and he's wielding the gauntlet, Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet.
He does seem to be, yeah.
With which he can snap your opponent out of existence if you attack with 6 or more different Fantastic Four characters while he is active.
You win the game.
You win the game.
As simple as that. Yeah, so we get, new Wincons seem to be a lot of buses, aren't they, at the moment? We wait, 7 years for an alternative one, and then 2 come along within the space of about 6 months, because we had the Hellfire Gala just a few months ago that came out in the OP kit, and now we've got the new Black Panther that's coming out toward the end of the year. Ben, what do you reckon about it?
This card specifically, well, let me talk about. So overall, I think it's a good thing having new win conditions. It's stuff that other games, collectible games, have done in the past. So I think having different win conditions is good. This card itself seems fairly balanced. It's a 4 cost, which is quite cheap.
Yeah.
Only a max 1. 6 more different Fantastic Four characters is quite a lot. I showed it to one of my friends and was like, how can it be 6 different characters? When it's a Fantastic Four. So thematically, okay. He himself is a Fantastic Four character, so only 5 others. Presumably there will be 5 others in the set otherwise.
Or not. Otherwise you have to use Super Rare Spider-Man.
Oh, interesting.
The one that collects other affiliations.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be a bit of a shame if there aren't. You presume there will be.
I'd be very surprised. Yeah.
But yeah, no, pretty cool. I think it seems fairly balanced. The most unbalanced thing about it probably is a 4 cost and it's a 2/8/8, which is pretty good stats.
2, right. Yeah, I was going to say about that myself.
So it's decent stats. So yeah. Cool card. Yeah, very excited about playing around with this one.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the stats there, Ben. I mean, this is going to be a 157, 278, 288, which, for a 4 cost is not to be sniffed at. I mean, I know we've talked quite a bit about kind of the old power creep in the game that's been coming in recent years with all the big statted characters that have been hitting the game, the likes of Gladiator and Supergirl and some of the others that we've had recently. This is another one to add to that list, because even without his own Wincon, he's actually pretty good. because he's got some very good stats. James, how excited are you, to wake you from your slumber, about this new Wincon?
On a scale of 0 to 10, not at all.
Okay.
Not in the absolute slightest. The most upsetting thing is the card looks like it's been patched together from it's like a Frankenstein card. What's the Thanos glove doing on there? It's horrible. Anyway, yes, nice stats.
Do you think the 6 characters is too many then?
I think if you get some cheap ones, and I don't think we've seen any particularly cheap ones.
Yeah, we've seen 2 costs.
Yeah, there's an Invisible Woman.
Okay.
The Invisible Woman is a 2. I think
you get a few more of them.
Yeah,
2s and 3s with control.
Well, okay, so we can go through. Presumably the Thing will be fairly expensive because he's been expensive in the past.
Well, but there is a 4 cost.
There's a 4 cost.
Mr. Fantastic probably be fairly cheap.
Yeah,
he's a 3. I think there's a 3 version of him.
And then Human Torch will probably be middling as well.
It
will depend on how good the rest of the characters are, obviously.
Yeah. And they would have to be control as well, Cause
stall out
they're
kind
all
of thing.
big, beefy bullies. It's not going to help you to you're not going to get the 6 characters fielded, are you?
No, I mean, it takes a lot of turns to buy them. But, I mean, there's definitely opportunities to do that. I mean, I suppose if the Fantastic Four kind of becomes the Fantastic 14 in terms of the number of affiliated characters, then it could become slightly easier. And certainly, I mean, I'm assuming they're not going to be crazy enough to make a global that will gift the Fantastic Four affiliation to any particular character.
No,
like we have.
Maybe an action die, like the Fantastic Car or something.
Oh yeah.
I don't necessarily think it'd be that outlandish to have a global. Depends on obviously the cost of said global. You still have to getting 6 different characters out is fairly difficult in general.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I suppose the fact that he's won himself already, and then the sidekick, that would be 2.
But it has to be. But that's 4 others. That's only if you can give the sidekick the Fantastic.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So even with the affiliation maker, the sidekick will be 1. You still have to get 4 others.
Yeah, which is not easy.
Which is not. Especially in like competitive.
For sure. Oh yeah, it's not. I really don't think this is going to be top level competitive. Peter, what do you think?
No, probably not. But it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you think. I'm glad you think that. The fact is, you're not going to be buying many more. Well, you're certainly not going to be buying many more than 2, are you? In a turn, I don't suppose.
No.
Yeah.
And then getting them all fielded and keeping them it's going to be pretty tough. So I kind of like the way this is balanced. It feels difficult to attain, and it should be difficult to attain because it enables you to win the game.
But maybe we'll get something like a Kitty Pryde for Fantastic Four that discounts your Fantastic Four characters when you field it. That could make it more viable.
Or like the Cyclops. So yeah, it'd be good for like the Mr. Fantastic to be. The Cyclops is right, so when it's free, once you to field all of them, and they get buff. It'd be cool that Mr. Fantastic was like reduced all the purchase cost of them, and then maybe gave them some defense to stay on the field. Because the Invisible Woman has a force block global.
Oh right, okay,
That's what it is. So,
speaking of Mr. Fantastic, something popped up in my newsfeed today. Some sort of. I don't know. Maybe people have seen this before, but it was an image from the first edition of the Fantastic Four.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Fantastic Four #1 established a lot of canon, but perhaps none so firmly as Reed Richards' inability to read a room. And it has them all putting their 4 hands together, and the Thing, his huge hand on top, saying, "I ain't Ben anymore. I'm what Susan called me, the Thing." And Mr. Fantastic saying, "And I'll call myself Mr. Fantastic."
Nice.
Well, these scientists.
These stretchy freaks. Good God.
But good stuff. Anyway, so that's the Black Panther Wincon, which, I mean, it's kind of sad that it's going to be a super rare. I mean, that's one of the things we haven't talked about, which I mean, I suppose it was almost inevitable that it would be if you thought about it from a marketing perspective. If you look at it from
also to avoid the problem in draft, something like the Rare Bizarro has where you can go over the max one.
Turns out,
yeah,
yeah, but you need 6 different Fantastic Four characters. So having more than one,
of course.
I mean, it would be good for the stats, but. And I also think it would be very hard to pull off in drafts, so that's why it's good that it's a super rare, because it's not going to be super useful in draft.
No. But it's definitely fun that we're getting another new Wincons to add to the Hellfire Gala, and the basic idea of getting your opponent to 0 or fewer life, which is the normal way of winning. But
the Hellfire Gala's seen tons of play, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I know the world's
partly
just
because
crawling
this
with
side
them.
of the world hasn't seen it.
No, I know. It's a bit sad. Maybe one day it will make it to this side of the Atlantic in more than about 2 households, but we will see. We have our fingers crossed. But while we're talking new Wincons, we thought we'd dream a little further and see if we can come up with a few Wincons of our own. If we were in charge of putting out some new Wincons for WizKids, I'm not suggesting this is going to happen anytime soon. I suspect it probably won't, if I trust my gut. But we have been thinking up a few of our own. And, well, what have we come up with, Ben? Why don't you start?
Okay. So I think there was a few different avenues of us thinking about this.
Yeah.
The first thing that kind of popped into our head was other kind of ways you could do the similar thing to Black Panther, where you have a certain number of characters in your field, you win the game.
Yeah.
So you could do that with, I guess, affiliations. You could do it with Brotherhood. Something similar, where if you have a certain number at a certain time in the game, you win the game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an obvious thing to do. But some other things we thought of was kind of going along the kind of idea of fabricating, and so using kind of older mechanics in the game and kind of working out how they could win the game. So one of our ideas was to have the fabricate mechanic where you KO a certain number of your active characters.
Yeah.
And then something happens with that, and kind of I think Peter mentioned that what might be cool is Apocalypse, and he has 4 horsemen. So if you can get the 4 horsemen out into your field, and we'd have to think about their costs and balancing it that way. But you could fabricate all 4 of them to summon Apocalypse, and then Apocalypse effectively wins you the game.
Right, yeah.
I kind of like that idea. The idea of getting a certain number of characters out, specifically a bit like the Black Panther, but then doing something with those characters to win the game, and then that's a nice idea of Apocalypse thematically coming out. But you'd have to probably make the horsemen probably all 4 costs or something, so you get 4 costs out. It'd be fairly difficult.
Yeah.
On the same turn.
And then what you would have to fabricate those horsemen in order to get your beefy Apocalypse.
Yeah, fabricate, for those who don't know, is a way of purchasing characters in the main step, where you KO is normally a number followed by another number.
Yeah.
So in this case, it'd be fabricate 4, and then it would be Horsemen of the Apocalypse. I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. You'd probably name them all, right?
Yes.
So if you KO those 4 characters, you immediately buy this die.
And then if you can field the Apocalypse.
Exactly, or something to also balance that out. Yeah. So you could have it, so you could actually, what you could just do is bump the costs of all those horsemen up.
Yeah.
And then simply if you purchase the Apocalypse, you win the game. But the only way to purchase him is through this fabricate mechanic.
I think you'd probably at least have to get him in the field. That'd be my
opinion.
Yeah.
And maybe even have the thing, like, is it with the Franklins, or like the opposite to the new Franklins Galactus? Where is that the thing that's got 4 character sides? It has, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if
maybe have 2 character sides on the die instead of 3.
And then if you go down that avenue, there's lots of different ways of kind of thinking about getting characters in the field in different difficult ways. So to just mention another one we thought of, well, does someone also want to talk about the Galactus?
Galactus, Peter.
Yes, yeah. The idea would be to have a Silver Surfer character, and that would have Recruit Galactus.
Oh, yes. Now, what does Recruit do?
Recruit is if you deal combat damage with that character, you get to field a matching die from the ability from your used pile, from your prep, or from your field zone. So it could be on an energy phase
From
in there.
your reserve
Reserve.
Yeah.
Pardon.
Prep.
Yes, and so that would be the only way to field the Galactus. So you wouldn't be able to just field it, and then you would have to attack with the Galactus to win the game. So you can't do it on the same turn.
Right. Yeah. So you'd have to buy probably a quite expensive Silver Surfer.
Yes, and an expensive Galactus.
Get him in the field. I mean, get him in the field, and then make the Galactus.
The Silver Surfer unblockable.
Oh, you'd have to make the Silver Surfer unblockable so it could do combat damage to trigger the Recruit.
Yeah.
Keyword, and then that would enable you to field Galactus, and then potentially on the next turn, if your opponent can't do anything with your Galactus in the meantime, then you can win the game. I like that. I mean, you wonder. I wonder whether there was any sort of mechanics that were being toyed with for the sort of one-player version of the game that involved Galactus when the Fantastic Four versus Galactus set was going to come with a one-player mode. Obviously, it's not doing that now, and it seems to us as if the cards that were going to be in that set have been rolled into Secret Wars based on what we've seen. But you wonder whether there might have been something along those lines. So I like that. I like the fact that you can, get big character, get another big character, and then they sort of thematically they sort of work together. The Silver Surfer being the herald of Galactus and all that kind of stuff, and then Galactus just comes along, and once he gets there, he's going to eat your world, whether you like it or not, and there's not a lot you can do about it.
This is a cool way of thinking about like old school abilities, kind of keyword abilities that can be brought back in, and then given a new lease of life based on this, because Recruit sort of didn't really work in any meaningful way. So this would have a win condition about it. Suddenly Recruit is something that everyone knows.
Yes. No, that would be fun. I mean, because we've had... Recruit is still knocking around, isn't it?
It's from...
That's had it in the latest set.
Well, it's from Infinity Gauntlet, wasn't it?
Yeah. What?
Jason used it in Necro War as well.
Oh, did he?
His variants and the sidekicks were undead and had Recruit, I think.
Nice.
That's good. Recruit undead.
The thing about keywords, another one we kind of came up with was stun tokens.
Yeah, go on, talk about that.
And this is kind of like, I don't know who would have this, a Mr. Freeze, maybe?
No, Mr. Freeze, yeah.
So if your opponent has a certain number of stun tokens on, and then this character attacks or something.
Yeah.
So again... You can balance. I mean, what's good about these cards is you can always tinker around balancing them with how the ability actually triggers, like whether it's a while active thing or a when fielded or when attacks a thing.
Yeah,
they all have different benefits. But if your opponent has a certain number of stun tokens, maybe you could do a stun token on each character card your opponent has.
Oh right, yeah.
Because that could be variable depending on how many non-basic actions.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of an interesting meta call. So if your opponent has a stun token on every single one of their character cards, you win the game. Would be kind of interesting.
Oof, yeah.
Booster Gold would suddenly become meta relevant.
Yeah, someone put stun token on.
Yeah,
and he stops stun token, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, it would shut your whole Wincon down.
The good thing about that, though, as well, is your opponent has fairly good control over that stun token kind of thing because they can pay energy to remove them. It's only 2 energy to remove.
That's right.
1. That seems like kind of a burden if your opponent's kind of going heavy into that occasionally, but it suddenly becomes, a get out clause for this one.
Yeah, I think that, playing against anybody who's even half awake, I feel like that would be
really difficult to pull off.
Really difficult to pull off because all they need to do is spend 2 energy and get rid of.
Isn't that because no one's kind of going really heavy into stun tokens at the moment, though?
No, that's right. Yeah.
You might have one character that gives stun tokens. If you suddenly have a win condition, which relies on stun tokens, if you have 3 or 4 characters
Yeah.
putting out stun tokens every round, or something that saps energy out of your opponent.
Yeah.
And then suddenly a lot better.
No, indeed, yeah. I mean, we also talked about a few things that were related. I mean, Ben, you sort of touched on this a little bit earlier, didn't you? About the idea of fielding 6 or more characters with the same affiliation. You were thinking about rolling certain amounts of energy or something like that. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah. I guess actually, can I mention another keyword that I just thought of, which might lead to some interesting...
Yeah.
So I was thinking about swarm.
Yeah.
And if you can suddenly... I don't know how this would work, but if you can swarm into a certain number of characters, you could have like I don't know what I'm thinking about, a king rat, some kind of thing. Like you have enough rats swarming, you suddenly get a Goliath thing that wins the game.
Oh yeah, like
I don't know. The listeners can come up with a way that would swarm could be come up with a way win conditions out of swarm.
Bees, not the bees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how would that work in terms of like if you draw 5 dice through swarm, you win the game or something like that?
Just sort of sting your opponent's death.
I don't know. Yeah, I know. If someone comes up with something for that, let us know because that'd be cool to think about. But anyway, the kind of idea we had initially was if you roll a certain number, or if you have a certain number of energy in your reserve pool at any time, you win the game. And I initially said 30 energy.
That seems too much to me.
It's a lot. I don't know if I ever had 30 energy, but
you need, how many dice would you need to even do that? You'd need like
15
at least.
At minimum, yeah.
More like 20.
Yeah, it's okay. So maybe more like 20 energy. Yeah. But if you had a certain number of energy in the reserve pool, and again, you do the balancing and playtesting.
Yeah.
You had a certain number of energy, you win the game.
Yeah.
In Golden, that'd probably be very bonkers. PlayStation and PXG and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe a certain combination of energy types, like 4 masks and 3 fists and whatever.
That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
Parallax.
I'm thinking that'd be like an action you play.
Right.
So you play this action if you have this combination of energy, you win the game.
Yeah. So if you've got, like, as Peter said, 5 masks, 3 fists.
Yeah.
2
5, 4, 3, 2
pints of lager and a bag of crisps, then you win the game. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah. 5 masks, 4 fists, 3 shields, 2 bolts, 1 action, and you win the game.
Yeah. We're foreshadowing there.
We're going to say we're getting on to James's bird quiz already.
But I mean, it just kind of explores the idea of how can you win outside of what's happening in your field.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, we also talked about the idea of having a certain number of dice, like in your used pile or in your bag or in your prep area or something like that. And if you had like 15 dice in your used pile,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure whether that sort of behaviour should be rewarded.
I know. I mean, the way it's working now with ramp, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No, exactly. No.
So
we're a long way away from that.
But I mean, on the back of that, the other kind of idea we had then was thinking about punishing your opponent for having that many things.
Oh, yes.
So if your opponent rolls a certain number of dice in their roll and re-roll step, they get punished.
Yeah. 5.
If the weight of your opponent's bag at any time.
Well, what I like about that is you think about that and like you have no control over that, except you do because your attack step can send. If you KO their characters, they have to roll them.
They do.
Yeah, you could use anti-monitor or something.
Yeah.
Or the Bizarre, like the Bizarro with the range 1, or the Shazam with the range 2 to all your characters. So maybe 10 isn't enough, so then you...
No. You have to put it a bit higher. Yeah.
Like 14, so the 4 dice they roll plus 10 characters KO'd.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. That would be a lot. That would be hard. I mean, that almost feels like the equivalent to 6 different characters, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
With Black Panther. What's the one with Hellfire Guarder is if there's 16 active. Is it 16 characters in the field zone?
16 dice.
Dice, yeah, in the field zone. you win.
So that also counts non-basic action, like
it counts continuous actions.
Continuous actions.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's
Satchel. Everything. Yeah, it's all there. We also thought about a few bonkers things that sort of enables you to win, but hamstrings you at the same time. So, Peter, what sort of things did we come up with there?
Let's see. We came up with one where you would have to be at 1 life to win. So if you field that character, either you set your life total to 1, or if you're already at 1, you win the game. So you would have to put yourself in a very risky position, to be able to win through this, because your opponent could ping you for 1 and you'd be dead.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that, and then we talked about, like, if it was a when fielded thing, you could just get 2 of them and then field them back to back. So the problem then the solution would be to make it max 1 or something.
You'd have to make it max 1,
Yeah, or the idea is to basically risk yourself going down to 1 life, having to survive then a turn, right?
Survive, maybe a number of turns, depending on how long it takes for you to get that character back again.
Yeah. Your opponent then has the Wasp Global, and then you're...
Yeah, or it could be like that one Gambit where it only works if it's the only character you field at that turn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. You could do that, yeah.
Wow, that'd be awful. When fielded, if this is the only character you field this turn, go down to 1 life. Wow, that is brutal.
Yeah, that. So your opponent needs a grand total of 2 dice. 2 characters
next
in the
turn
field to win the game next turn.
Well, you could have characters already in the field as
You
well.
might have a field,
Yeah, that's true,
Yeah, that's going to have to be high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
It needs to be. Talking of which, you were coming up with something completely stupid, weren't you, Peter, in terms of your orbital strike obsession? What was it? Re-rolling a character when you field? Go on, talk about that one.
So I came up with something that if you field that character, you re-roll it. And if you roll character, you win the game. If you roll energy, you lose the game.
That is definitely
the ultimate Hail Mary.
It is. I mean, I really don't think that we can have a serious game of Dice Masters settled on
and it will be a 1 cost.
A 1 cost. Yes. I think we're descending into the rather more serious suggestions now. James, would you approve of such an idea?
Oh, that last one, not so much. No, not really my sort of thing. But I like the Galactus and the Apocalypse stuff, and the last minute swarm idea. You could have Swarm Locust. I think there should be animals in Dice Masters. I think that would be marvelous.
Cows and stuff.
Birds.
Cows, cows. I go with that. Cows.
Arc Nova Dice Masters. What you're talking about.
Exactly. You get a few Frisians in there. Could be. It could be good. Now, the other thing we were talking about was when you have maybe a particularly strong character on your team who maybe just require. He might be quite a high cost, or she might be quite a high cost character, but if you can field that character, you win the game. But the big drawback is that if this person is on your team, then you only draw and roll 3 dice at the start of your turn, and that ability can't be blanked or removed in any way, shape, or form. So you sort of have an incentive to try to win by buying a high-cost character, but it's much harder for you to buy a high-cost character or do other normal stuff because you've only got 3 energy. I mean, what do we think about that?
Only 2 on turn 1 then.
Only 2?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Leave you in first.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
because otherwise in Golden you can buy an 8 cost on turn 2, no problem. Going first.
We'll put the video in the show.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to balance it for stuff like that, and then also, again, think about when this character would trigger when fielded when attacks, or whatever else. But yeah, you could have a bunch of other punishments, I suppose, rather than just the rolling those dice. Again, you could affect your life. So start the game with 10 life if this character card is on your team.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of like that one because you could gain life in the intervening thing, which would be kind of interesting. Or stuff like if this character card is on your team, it takes up several slots. Might be an interesting thing.
Oh, yeah. Like it's a big fat card that sits across like
across 2 slots. Yeah.
Place it sideways.
Place it sideways, yeah. Wingspan, yeah.
Like a long-tailed tit.
Exactly.
Or maybe a card where you start at 5 life, and if you manage to get Buck up to 20, you win the game.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah, that's another...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And I suppose the other thing you could do with these characters, if you were just trying to field them, you could do the opposite to the Franklin's Galactus, having four character sides and maybe only have 2.
Yeah, mess around with those. That kind of,
mentioned, that sort of thing. The other thing we talked about is characters that cost energy to keep them in the field. I think, Peter, you were saying there's a bit of a thing about this relating to Magic, isn't there? They do something similar. So you might have a really strong character who might have the ability to win you the game, but you might have to pay a sort of a maintenance cost each turn to sort of keep them in the field. What's happened in Magic along those lines?
Yeah, in Magic you have that on certain cards. You have at the start of your turn you have to pay a certain cost, otherwise they get KO'd.
Right. Yeah.
So you could do something like that there, where you have to pay a certain amount of energy before the end of your turn or whatever. Otherwise, it'll be KO'd, and maybe you have to keep it around for a certain number of turns, and then you win the game. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about countdown timers of some kind.
Yeah.
Like maybe an action or something triggers a countdown timer.
Yeah. Yeah, with like tokens or something. I mean, I feel like the thing about the maintenance cost characters being KO'd, I think in Dice Masters, you'd probably actually need them to be sent to the use pile to sort of make the punishment more severe than it just being KO. Because actually, it might be advantageous for you to have it.
Yeah, KO is too easy, isn't it?
Yeah, you can roll more energy. I think you'd need to.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't have its
trigger
effect of getting you closer to winning.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, there's a bunch of ideas there. Have we come to the end of all ideas? Is there any?
Well, I suppose I was just a little bit with that kind of when you guys were talking about the countdown, the maintenance cost one, just having the idea. Was it the old Captain America that let you swap characters around? No, it was the old prismatic spray, right? That let you swap characters that you had with character your opponent has.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something around that, again, I haven't really thought about that out, but kind of that hot potato idea is kind of, so you have a character you want on your team during your main step, but then at the end of your turn, you want to maybe throw it over to your opponent.
By spending
energy or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
I always like that kind of being able to take your opponent's stuff or giving them your stuff. I think we have lots of mechanics to like the new rare Starro lets you steal a character for a turn.
Yeah.
I would love to have a character back which you could give them one of your characters.
Yeah.
And on that note, we talked about if you had a certain number of psychics active. So we talked about if you had 10 psychics active, so you'd have to find some way of stealing sidekicks.
Or field allies.
Or field allies, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Or you could have it the opposite, where if your opponent has 10 sidekicks, you win the game.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, well, there's a bunch of ideas there. I mean, if anybody at WizKids is listening, then we are available for a relatively cheap retainer. Should you want us to come up with some game design ideas, we are here for such behaviour. You know where to get in touch, and you can use the contact details at the end of the show. It doubles up, for not only correspondence related to the podcast, but also job offers and any other lucrative contracts.
Guest celebrity appearances at your Halloween party or Christmas do or Thanksgiving dinner.
Your bar mitzvah is catered for by here at DM United. Don't you worry about it. It's all right. Well, we want to hear your ideas because I bet there are 1,000,001 better ideas than we've already had.
There are definitely some players
in the communities out there in the community. We want to hear them. Do get in touch, because it would be great if in the next episode we could have some other ideas to read out from you, the listeners, because I'm sure they'll probably be better than all of ours put together.
Think about the keyword heroic as well. Just to interrupt you. Yeah, heroic. Heroic is right for this, surely.
Hey, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you got to be heroic. Or really dastardly. Maybe.
Exactly.
Something like that. But yes.
Keyword dastardly.
Exactly. There we go. So anyway, that's us redesigning Dice Masters. Do get in touch with your ideas. And with that, we'll move on to our next segment. Okay, well, if you were with us 2 weeks ago for the last episode, you would have heard us live draft the Superman Kryptonite Crisis set with varying degrees of success, it has to be said. Now, in the intervening time, we were hoping that we would all be able to play off each other. That hasn't quite happened, it's got to be said. Only one of us actually managed to play all 3 of their games. Don't want to say who that was, but he's the one talking now. And but we have had the chance, all of us, to try out our teams at least once. And well, what have people found? Peter, you drafted Bizarro in, well, multitudes of dice, it seems. And the expectation, I think, from all of us at that point was that you were just going to crush everybody with these enormous Bizarros, because you would be picking them up for free on every turn. But what actually happened?
Bizarro is a trap. That's what happened. So when I played you, Spug, I did do that. I threw a bunch of Bizarros into my bag, and then you just grabbed a bunch of Supergirls. I think the rare one, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that turned out to be a very good counter to Bizarro.
Yeah.
So I was. Yeah,
that Supergirl is the one that basically enables you, while she's active, she enables you to draw an extra die during your clear and draw step, and you also gain 1 life at the end of your turn if your opponent has more life than you.
So
which is actually very handy.
So I managed to hit you for 8 on turn 2, which was awesome. Yeah. But then you feel that you're Supergirl on your turn 2 or something, or turn 3, and then she started to gain your life right back.
Yeah,
and she has bigger stats than Bizarro.
Yes, that was
that was not great. And then so against James, I just skipped Bizarro altogether because I was afraid of giving him free Harleys.
Yeah, you rattled him, Spug, which served him very well.
So far he's not worked out for me.
No, that's really funny. So, for anybody who doesn't know the Bizarro, so normally he's a max 1 character who costs 5. Is it? I mean, the cost is fairly irrelevant, but he just says, basically, on your turn, during your main step, you can put a Bizarro die in your bag, and then your opponent also gets to put something in their use pile from their team. So it's kind of it's got that almost balancing mechanic that we've just sort of been talking about in the previous segment. But normally it's a max 1. Peter managed to draft 6 of them though in the online draft that we did. So we thought we were just going to be millions of Bizarros, but you couldn't roll them, could you, in our game as well?
That too, yeah. But the fielding is ridiculous, and so But you don't need 6. Trust me. If you ever do draft Rare Bizarro, 4 will do.
4 will do. Now, James, you took the extraordinary decision of drafting a super rare when it fell into your lap. How did that go?
It turned out it was quite good.
Yeah.
I got Harley Quinn super rare, which is really good, and I think really particularly good in draft. It says I have it here in front of me. While Harley Quinn is active, your sidekick dice gain +1 A +1 D, and when fielded, deal 2 damage to target character die.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what you want in draft, as it turns out. You want a way of clearing the field, which you can do when you field sidekicks, and you want a wide field with stats, and potentially also stats to defend you from Bizarro. Although Never actually had to do that. And I also managed to get back one of the Batmen. I don't think it was a particularly good one, but it did only cost 4, I think. But more importantly, it has the global of paying 2 masks to feel psychic. So
yes,
it was a bit of a no-brainer, really. Quite good. Which is just as well for me, I think.
Yeah, it was certainly way too strong for my Superman, who was my kind of Wincon. I picked up an early common poison ivy that produces plant tokens when she energizes, but I only managed to get 2 dice for that, so that wasn't great. The idea was to pair that with the rare Superman, that when he attacks, you can change one of your other character, or you can change another character's attack to 6, which is cool if you can get stuff unblocked, but not if you can't, because they just get blocked. So he got stomped by your Harley, but he did pair up well when he was just being thrown in the bag for free against Bizarro, who then couldn't roll. So that was pretty cool. So I won that game, lost to you, James, and then Ben just basically totally outplayed me, surprise, surprise, with a team that had no Wincons. Ben, tell us about your team.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I think what's good probably about our super rare, well, Holly in this set in particular, is there's not really any other direct damage, is there? It's kind of just a wall stats.
Yeah.
Wall versus wall game, which kind of ours sort of turned out to be.
Well, there's range.
There's a range.
Course, but
there is. Yeah. That's not direct damage to your opponent. It's not a way to jump over.
No, she doesn't either. She doesn't give direct damage to your opponent, but rather to characters. But I did have feedback. I've got feedback which sort of converts it into that, because that does 1 damage to your opponent for every one of their dice that's KO.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, similar to that, I'd have a bunch of removal. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
So I just have a bunch of stuff that removes stuff effectively. Doomsday common, which I didn't use. The Starro rare. When fielded, it goes to use power, but I take control of an opposing character die. So again, kind of does that switch. So I get a character, they lose a character. Harley Quinn, uncommon, has a little bit of removal, and then the Wally West fast has a little bit of removal as well. The star of the show probably for me was just investigative journalism, which I managed to buy all 3 of.
Wow. How did you let that happen?
Because I
didn't get 5.
I didn't get 5 energy. It was ridiculous. Like every time I rolled my poison ivies, they came up on the flipping character side. It was so annoying. Yeah. It was just like, did my head in. Anyways, yeah. So my plan was to buy the investigative journalism. I didn't get any. It was a disaster.
Yeah, so using those kind of just overwhelmed you, didn't I, really? Just with characters, you can get your Superman out, and Superman kind of loses effectiveness after the first few turns once your opponent has a wall up against them. Then the Doomsday Global probably is the other star of the show, forcing your Poison Ivy tokens, the ones you did get, through for 0 damage.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
It's very useful. Yeah.
Not ideal. So you're gonna have to play off against James to
I guess so.
To at least settle that little argument, even if you don't get to pay Peter too.
Do you have a shield character who's any good, James? Because I like this General Zod that I have, the uncommon.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I do have cards. I don't tend to buy them. I've got Connor Kent and Starro, and there was Bat Signal. Yeah, nothing for you, really.
Yeah, because the General Zod is, when fielded, General Zod copies the ability to target shield character die until the end of turn, and I used him to copy Spug's Superman, and then obviously could have used him to copy the Bizarro Overcrush.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
No, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Although he has worse stats than Bizarro.
So what do we learn? Bizarro, not as good as we thought. Harley Quinn, surprisingly great.
Not surprisingly.
Unsurprisingly great, I should say. Yeah.
Well, I think it's just we know this draft is just a wall versus wall kind of thing, isn't it? You have to have some kind of way to break those down. I mean, that happened in draft anyway at the best times, so some way of breaking those walls down is useful. Bizarro without a stat pump probably isn't the best. Overcrush, I mean, it has one. It's like the Overcrush and the Superman are big turn 2/3 hits, and then that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Peter, what have you learned? What have you learned apart from don't point Bizarro?
I'm not sure yet what I've learned.
No.
Still need to play my final game. But yeah, it seems very good, the Bizarro, but unless you are playing an opponent who has a team of weenies, you are giving them something good in return, and it'll bite you in the ass.
You have to have some way of pumping him, right? I think.
Yeah, you might need some extra pump stuff, but even then, it's tricky. Because of the high fielding, I thought, I'm getting free Bizarros, I'll have spare energy, but I did not, because I would have to field him if I rolled him. So I wasn't left with a lot of energy to do stuff with. So it's tricky. If you get the rare Bizarro and like the super rare Lois Lane or something, then that things could get interesting.
Free to field.
Or there's the Jimmy, that's an uncommon, right?
Jimmy or the Robin, global.
Yeah, but the Robin is a super rare as well, right?
Rare.
Yeah, that's right. James?
So there's an uncommon Jimmy, I think, that has the global. So that would be maybe attainable.
Yes.
Speaking of Jimmy, I had Jimmy rare for 3 cost, who can block 2 characters, which is all right, actually. So it's not a bad card. And Harley speaks for herself, but it was interesting that if you can roll a few psychics, or if you can't, you can use the Batman Global, and you can sort of get, you get a few through, 1 or 2 through each turn, which means 2 or 4 damage through, and suddenly your opponent's within striking distance. You know what I mean? And that happened in both games. It was sort of completely crept up on me. I was having to go and pick my daughter up in 2 minutes. I'm thinking, I've got to go, and we're not going to finish because we were recording. And then suddenly I rolled 2 or 3 sidekicks, and that was it. Because you were down to about 8 or something, and then I fielded the sidekicks, and I had maybe 3-4 more characters, and each of them was 2, and that makes a big difference. Them being 2. So,
I think that's true. I think the consistent small damage in draft is way better than a big chunky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ways of dealing consistent small damage is better than being able to do a big hit.
Well, and also keeping your opponent's field lean is massive too, isn't it?
Yeah. On that note, huge smash for buying the actual action itself, which just deals 3 damage to a character.
Yeah.
Was pretty useful against you.
Yes.
But just being able to do that damage.
Just to remove something else. Yeah.
And an amazing global.
The cake global, it does, yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it always feels like those sort of things are never entirely optimal when it comes to draft, because you haven't necessarily got all the right
getting angry about Barry Allen.
About never being able to use that blasted global.
Yeah, I did learn that if you want to use that global, if you want to use it on the first turn, maybe you don't want to do that, but if you do, you want to go second.
Yeah,
it's a good point. Good stuff. All right. Well, maybe the remaining games will be completed. You can, in fact, watch both the games that James played, because he's basically the only one of us who's tech savvy enough to be able to record an actual game of Dice Masters. So you can catch those games on the YouTube channel, the game between me and him, and the game between him and Peter. But if you, we'll put the link in the show notes. But I think we'll move on to the next segment. Okay, James, it's the moment that everybody's been waiting for. A quiz about birds. Is that what you've done?
I'm very excited about this, actually.
What's going on? What are you doing?
Extremely exciting.
Tell us what's going to be happening.
Well, I'm a fan of birds, and I like bird watching. I might have mentioned it once or twice.
You may have done.
And we almost every episode we almost sort of start talking about Wingspan. I'm thinking stick to the Dice Masters for now. And so I thought, as a compromise to sate my desire to talk about birds without boring people completely, I thought we could link it into Dice Masters, because there are actually quite a lot of cards which either are named after birds or they have birds in their title somewhere.
Yeah, like NFL teams.
Whatever they are. So what I did was go through the whole.
There's a load of bird teams.
Okay, I take your word for that.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers is the only.
They're not bad.
That isn't a thing.
But they are an American football team. Yeah, you're right. So well done.
Right,
1 point to you.
Yeah, good. So I went through the team builder, and I didn't have a chance to scan all of the subtitles, so I might have missed a few there. But I think I got at least all of the titles which had some sort of relation to birds.
Wow.
I wrote them all down, made a big list, and then I looked at them, and I've made 6 questions from that.
Yeah. Hey.
To test your knowledge, and the knowledge that you require is, well, it is. There are bird names, so you do need to know the names of the birds, but they are all the names of cards. So
excellent.
It's Dice Masters 2, and I will be not asking you for the names of 3 passerines, for example, because that would require you to know what passerines are. I will instead be restricting the required knowledge to Dice Masters.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Okay.
That's good to hear. Yeah, well, I mean, because, for the benefit of the listeners, James, you and I have been having a few games of Wingspan, haven't we, on Board Game Arena now? It's found its way
Indeed.
to that very fine board game playing website. So you've been introducing me to the wilds of Wingspan, and I now know my Northern Cardinal from my Abbott's Booby.
Right. Yes, and you've been beating me hollow. Much to my chagrin.
It's just lucky card draws, I think.
So I imagine we should crack on. So we've got 6 questions here, and 1 or 2 of the questions just require one name, but most of them require sort of multiple names. And the more you get, the more points you'll get.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you'll need probably something to write stuff down on. And should we do the answers after each question so we don't have to go back through it? I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
And I'll try not to dally too much. Okay, are you ready then?
Yes,
I am ready.
Readers at home, listeners at home, your writing implements, your Etch a Sketch and whatnot. Question number 1 is which bird name is most prevalent in Dice Masters? And a bonus point for each card which has that bird name within its title, either as its title or within its title, a bonus point for each one of those you can name.
All right.
So you mean like if you're talking about insects, you talk about spider, right? So spider would be Spider-Man,
Spider Girl, Iron Spider.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Rather than volume of cards.
Exactly. Rather than just counting all the Spider-Man. I'll give you
I think I know that.
a few seconds.
Bats aren't birds.
Bats are not birds, Ben. No, fish also are not birds.
How about golems?
Also not. Golems, I think, are not birds.
When have you seen one of those nesting in your local oak tree? Like, oh, look, there's a golem flying.
It's a winged golem. You've got a flesh golem, clay golem, the feather golem. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds, so you don't have too much time. 5, 4, 3. Okay, so Peter, do you know what the most prevalent bird in Dice Masters terminology, in nomenclature, I should say, which bird is most common?
I think it might be hawk.
Wow, you're amazing. But how many cards can you name with that? So that's 1 point if you've got that. Ben, did you get hawk?
I did.
I feel confident that you did. Spug?
Yes.
I have 5.
Wow. Just shout out and you can count it up for yourself. Okay, who's got hawk in the title? I'll name Spug first because there's one that he particularly wants to say, I think.
Hawk Girl.
That's right, mate. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that sounded a bit Dick Van Dyke, really, wasn't it? All right, Mary Poppins. What, any more? Apart from
Hawkman.
Hawkman, indeed.
Hawk
himself. That's 3.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Who? There's one just called Hawk.
Yeah.
Starhawk.
Starhawk.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, indeed.
Okay.
I haven't got any more. If you got any more, you get 2 points for them. That's all I got. Okay.
So yeah, bonus point for each one of those.
bonus point for each one that you got. So what? And one for actually getting Hawk in the first place. So Spug, you are on.
So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Very good. Ben.
Wow, I got 3.
3. And Peter.
6.
Way.
Wow, 6. Bloody hell. Okay.
Flying
Question
to the
2.
I feel like that was. I feel okay. Carry on.
It's a stick shot, is it? Question 2 is nice and simple. Okay, it's much less complicated. Which Dice Masters birds allow you to prep fielded dice?
Prep fielded dice.
Right.
Yeah, prep in the sense of move to the prep area, if that helps.
Oh yeah.
I don't get it.
Well,
I'm confused.
Which? Okay, I'll rephrase for you. Which Dice Masters birds allow you to move fielded dice to your prep area?
And this is birds in the sense of animals, not birds in the sense of like ladies.
I would never be so crass, but yes. So, right, 3 seconds, 2, 1. Right, Spug, do you know what it is?
Well, do you know, I immediately said, yes, I know what this is. But then I thought to myself, wait a minute, it's not a real bird. So it's just a fictitious thing, is what I was thinking.
I should be clear that when we say birds in this whole quiz, it means they're part of the title. But this is a real bird. A real bird is in the title, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, I was thinking of a different bird.
Yeah.
What did you have? Tell us.
Well, I had the phoenix.
Dark Phoenix.
That's not a real bird. No.
No, it's not a real bird, is it?
Sorry. No, it's not.
You didn't specify it had to be a real bird.
Bloody hell! Yeah, well, all right.
We got it wrong.
You can have you can have a point. Well, yeah, go on. You can have a point for Phoenix, but
You're very generous.
You get 2 points for the proper answer, which is
Ben.
Penguin.
That's not a bad guess.
Well, I've got Stepford cuckoos. Which I think you'll agree is close.
It's an actual bird.
But
Yeah,
it is an actual bird.
I don't think a Stepford cuckoo is a real bird.
No, that's true, but a cuckoo is, and it does allow you to specifically prep them. It allows you to move
True.
them, not KO them, which is what penguin might do. But anyway, if there is another right answer,
No, I don't know what penguin does. I just
said penguin.
I couldn't tell you what penguin does, so I said he's a bird.
No.
Right. Okay. Right. Shall we move on?
Yes, please.
Move swiftly on to the hastily assembled quiz. Okay. You've sort of anticipated the next question already, which is which mythical birds appear in Dice Masters?
Penguin.
The mythical penguin.
And you get 1 point for each you can name.
Oh, right. Okay, well, I can name one.
Scratch them down
Sure.
on your slates.
Oh, what are we counting as a mythical bird?
Well, you can have Phoenix as a
That's a guaranteed one.
Yeah. Well, I'll be the judge, shall I? I'll be the judge.
Okay. I'm gonna write some.
I'll give you about 5 more seconds. Just scratch them down quickly. 3, 2. I'll give you a clue. There's one that actually the same mythical bird appears on 2 different card names.
Wow.
And if it helps, Ben probably has about 14 of them, I would imagine. Anyway, right, you ready?
Oh my days! Right, okay.
I'm not ready, but I've got Phoenix.
Right, you can have a point. You can have a point for Phoenix if it makes you feel better.
It does actually. Yeah.
That was a point for participation.
Yeah, exactly. Good. For turning up.
Can anyone name any other mythical birds other than Phoenix?
A dragon.
It's not a bird. Sorry.
It flies. They fly.
Not everything which flies is a bird. Planes, for example, are not birds.
Is a cockatrice a mythical bird?
I would definitely accept cockatrice because it's half chicken and half snake or something.
Because you have a bunch of stuff from D&D, then you have owlbear.
I didn't even have that one. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
Oh.
Good
you have
owlbear. Oh, yeah, nice.
You have a manticore.
It does have wings. Pegasus.
Dragon. That's like a dragon.
Manticore is more sort of lion, but I'll give you it. Yeah, it's
The
got
Pegasus.
Well, you can give him a lion, but you can't give me a dragon.
Yes, because no, not lion, but manticore, because it actually is made from a bird, unlike a bloody dragon.
Okay.
I think. Shall I check that? I'm not sure. I'm just thinking manticore.
Thunderbird.
Yeah, that probably is a mythical bird. Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'm not sure I'll accept manticore because it might have wings in Dice Masters, but traditionally it doesn't. It has the head of a human, the body of a lion, and a tail of venomous spines similar to porcupine.
Okay. Then the other one is Sturge. I think it's Sturge,
No,
the little...
they're more sort of a cross between a mosquito and a lizard. I did look that up, actually.
Okay.
They're not birdie. They have sort of batty wings.
And then I'm sure there's some from Yu-Gi-Oh, but I didn't have time to think about that.
Well, there was Yu-Gi-Oh! I was thinking of, in fact. Go on.
I don't know.
Isn't got any.
I didn't have time to think about that. I thought about D&D and I went all through them.
It was Harpy Lady.
Oh.
But
Harpy Lady and Harpy
is that a
Lady
proper harpy?
Well, no, but the name does bear the name Harpy, which is, I believe, a mythical bird. And also, you get a bonus point for having the Rock. Come on. That's Rock, R-O-C, actually, not R-O-C.
Oh, dear.
Is there an ROC Rock?
Yeah.
There is a mythical bird in 1001.
I know, but is it in Dice Masters?
No, but the Rock.
No, but the name.
Oh, it was
Rock
fun.
is-
Okay, never mind.
Peter, you're taking this way too
dear,
literally.
Does blackbird count?
No, that's an actual bird.
No, that's a real bird.
Even I know that.
Phew. Okay, can you do a subtotal? We're approaching the last three questions. We're halfway through, and I don't really mind too much.
No.
You've got so you can have one for Phoenix, but you can't have one for Manticore. That was overruled.
And I can't have one for Sturge. Okay, so I'm on 6.
No, nothing for Sturge. Okay, 6.
What, 6 for that question?
No.
Oh, right.
That's your total so far. Okay, Peter, your total so far is?
I'm at 10.
Wow.
10 points. Very good.
He's going well.
Spug.
7.
Oof. Okay, it's everything to play for. Okay. Here's a quick one. This is a quick one, and you either know it or you don't, but you might be able to speculate. And a shame on you if you don't know it. Which birds feature, and to be clear, these are names of cards with something to do with birds in the title. Okay, I'll try to clarify. Which birds feature on Jason's Birdemic team?
Oh, wow.
Do you watch our own YouTube channel?
Well, do you know I normally do?
Ooh, they're modern if it helps.
I've been very busy.
Excuses. They're probably perhaps the 3 most recent birds, or 3 of the most recent birds.
Okay, I know what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with that one.
I think you could probably guess it. You're 5, 4, 3, 2.
Does this include mythical birds?
Well, yeah, one of them is.
Okay. Then I think I have 2.
Okay. Anybody got 3?
No.
Ben, have you got any?
No.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, I could probably guess.
Go on, guess. Have a guess.
So probably Deathbird and Phoenix are on there.
That's right. So that's 2 of them, and the other one is
Robin.
Is Robin? Very good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice. He was using that Deathbird KOing thing, and the Dark Phoenix that when you field it you can KO an X-Men or something, and he was using that. That basic action that you can give X-Men.
Radicalization.
That's it.
Yeah.
Very good. Anyway, check out the videos. I'll put the links in the show notes.
Please do.
Okay, we've got 2 more questions.
You better put them in our chat as well so we can watch them.
In the nursery rhyme, just go to the channel, Spug. They're all there.
Okay.
In the nursery rhyme, 4 and 20 blackbirds were baked in a pie. How many blackbirds are there in Dice Masters? And you get 1 point for each one you can name. There's more than one.
Blackbirds, as in Birds that are black?
Are coloured black.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, correct.
And
Wow.
bats aren't birds.
Bats are still not birds.
What about dragons?
Still not, no. Aquaman is not a bird either.
He's also not black.
How many did you say there were? We just...
I got 3. I mean,
Okay.
Great.
I did do this reasonably quickly. So if anybody listening at home finds answers that I didn't, good for you. Tell us, get in touch using the address at the end of the show.
Oh, I've got 3.
All right, let's do it then.
Oh, wow.
Peter, how many have you got?
I think I had 2 only at this point.
Tell us what you got, Peter.
I have blackbird and raven.
Ooh,
Yes.
Got
very
4.
Good. Actually, that's one that I didn't get. Yeah, okay. I was actually going for birds with black in the title, but raven is good. Yeah, fine. I'll accept
Ravens are
that,
black.
Sure. Yeah, they are. They are. That would be 4.
Oh, I got
If that's the
raven.
case- Go on, Spug.
I had raven, blackbird, and penguin because they're black.
Penguins
partly.
are black and white.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they're not black.
Yeah, so I had those 3, and I also have crow,
As in scarecrow.
as in scarecrow.
Ah, scarecrow.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. I'll take that one. If I'm taking
Oh.
raven, I'll take that as well. Yeah, go on. Any more?
No, I had those were my 4.
Right. Also, black swan.
Yeah,
Oh, right,
yeah.
yeah. I've seen them. Have you ever seen a black swan? I've seen a black swan.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty
Yes.
cool.
They look like swans, but they're black. And black canary.
Of course, yeah.
Oh,
Do those exist?
yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. No, don't think so.
So that's
Give me
also
a
a mythical bird.
The
I'm
world.
there
going
any
to
rooks?
spray paint on all.
Are there
The
any
world is a big
rooks in
place.
Dice Masters? I can't remember.
No, I did check for rook. I was going to do a crow family question, but there were no rooks or magpies. Disappointing.
Oh.
Although there is a Jay Garrick. Anyway,
So I got 2
that's
for
one
that.
for you, that's one for you ornithologists out there. Yes, I'll grudgingly accept bloody penguin, although it's not really, it's black and white or whatever. All right, we're on the last question, and it's a very simple one. Can you name, apart from the answers to the questions that hang on, which ones have we? Can you name 2 other birds that have not? I don't think they've been mentioned by anyone yet. Certainly not been the answers to any of the questions so far. So 2 other birds which appear in the titles of Dice Masters cards and have not yet been mentioned as the answer to any question.
Go on.
Blimey.
You've got 5 seconds.
5 seconds? Flipping heck. To think
Well,
of...
we don't want people to fall asleep at home. If I shout very loudly, I might wake some of them up.
Is Becky Lynch the name of a bird?
Still no.
Okay.
Right. 4, 3, 2, and 1. How many have you got?
I won.
I got 1.
Go on, Ben. What have you got?
Dove.
Dove is definitely one of the ones I was thinking of.
Good.
I did mention dove.
To be fair, Peter, it wasn't the answer to any of the questions.
That is true.
Yeah, so would Jay count? You just mentioned that.
I suppose it would. Yeah, I didn't think of that one, but yeah, Jay Garrick. That's the thing.
Jay.
I think somebody mentioned owl. No, somebody mentioned owl bear, but there's also owl man.
Oh man. I got Robin.
And then that was definitely the answer to the question. You've not been paying attention. That was Jason's team featured Robin.
Oh yeah. I didn't get that, so that's why I don't have it.
The question was not amongst your answers.
Oh, yeah, but I had no way of checking on my list.
It's called memory. Okay.
Yeah.
Becky Finch.
Very good. Wow. I see the concentration on your face. There's also Falcon.
Oh, of course.
Oh, I thought about Falcon earlier.
And Carmen Falcone, which is a bit tenuous, obviously.
That is a stretch.
From World's Finest. And then you've got Songbird and Birdsong.
Vulture.
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, double points. You get 2 points for that, Peter, because I missed that one entirely.
Awesome.
Good one.
Double points for that.
Nothing for Birdsong, because that's not really a bird, but I think Songbird would be okay. So, tot them all up and tell me what you got. Definitely 2 points for Vulture Peter. I like that. And what have you got?
I just thought of something very inappropriate.
Don't say it.
Don't say that.
Okay.
Don't say it.
Right, Spug, how
9.
many do you have? 9 points. Very good. I don't know what the maximum possible is, but
it's a lot
Ben,
more than
how many
9.
do you have?
The way you've given them out, probably a lot more than
Tons.
Yeah, I got about 3 points just for saying things that you'd already said.
I got 14.
Wow, 14. Good one. Very good, Ben. And Peter?
I got 16 with my last minute Vulture.
16 with the
very
Vulture.
good.
The Vulture takes
Very
it.
good.
Okay. And I'm sure people at home must have got 25 and more.
Well, if they had more than 2 seconds to think about it, then it's possible that they might have done.
Anyway, there you go. So that is cards with birds in the name.
Very good, James. Well, how many points did you get? How many points did you thrash me by at the very least? And did you beat Peter's majestic score of 16? You might not have quite benefited from the generous marking scheme that James seems to have applied in quite the same way, because he wasn't able to kind of call out your answers. But if you did beat 16, then do let us know by getting in touch using the contact notes at the end of the show. Thank you very much, James, for doing that. And congratulations, Peter. Well done for your surprise Vulture, pulling it out of the bag at the end there. Let's move on to a little bit of AOB. All right, well, just a little bit of any other business to round up. Normally, we will start with Dice Fight. James, are you poised with Dice Fight information, or are you pouring through web pages as we speak?
No, I'm just checking a message from my wife. I apparently should speak more quietly. So what's the next one? 10th?
It'll be the 3rd of November,
really?
and the 10th of November, yeah.
Oh, God, because we're recording quite close to release, aren't we?
We are very close.
The 3rd of November is the first Thursday of the month.
Legacy.
So that will be Legacy 32 by all
Good
accounts.
grief.
Yeah, it's nearly 3 years that's been running.
Yeah, wow.
Still quite popular, I think. So get involved with that. And on November the 10th, there is practice for Dice Masters versus Cancer.
Oh, yes. And
according to the timetable, anyway.
Yes, and obviously on that subject, Dice Masters versus Cancer is coming up. It's Saturday, the 19th of November, being an online event being put on by the people at the Ministry of Dice. If you want to take part, then just head on over to their website and you'll be able to get involved. All the money that they're raising is going to Cancer Research UK, I believe. So if you want to play a bit of dice and give a bit of money to charity, then do get involved with that particular event. Is there any other bits of AOB to mention, or is that it for this particular episode? I think it might be.
That's it, really.
Yeah. No, nobody's got anything else coming. James can't talk anymore because it's too late in his household. So I'll just get him to say one more thing. If you want to get in touch with us, and we'd love to hear from you, because you might get your message read out in a future episode. Did you beat Peter's score of 16? Did you come up with a better Wincon? Almost certainly than we have been able to invent. Do let us know by getting in touch and sending us an email at James.
hello@dmunited.eu.
Exactly. Thank you for being with us over the course of the last hour or so. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have, then it would be great if you could like and rate and review using your favourite podcast app. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be first to know about a new episode when it drops. But we will see you again next time. Bye.
Cheerio, Tweakle.
It's Bobby Heenan, not Booby Heenan.
Oh.
What? Bye-bye.